We hear all the time that it's impossible to buy your first home in today's market, but that's actually not the case.
And in this video, we're gonna tell you exactly why, because me and Jesse are super passionate about first-time homebuyers. So we're gonna give you the mindset, the misconceptions, the myths, the entire process. We're gonna go over all of the strategies and things you need to know so that you can accomplish buying your first home in the Boise area, because it is possible. And we're gonna go over everything you need to know today. And here at Boise Real Estate Insights, Brady Fagel, Jesse Taff, with Waypoint Real Estate Group, we're here to provide actual valuable information. We are not HGTV fun.
We're fun.
We're fun.
Yeah.
I guess we don't have the biggest personalities, but we're here to provide you guys with information that is truly valuable, especially for those of you who are local, but it's also very valuable for those of you who are moving here. And we just have a passion for helping people and really building relationships.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we love when people, send us a comment if you have questions, obviously, or call us directly. We want to interact with you guys. Yep. And we know there's plenty of you watching that have questions that maybe you feel like, oh, we're not ready to reach out to a real estate agent yet. Don't view us like right now as real estate agents. Yeah. That's obviously what we do. We can, and we'll, hope to help you through the whole process. But when you're first reaching out, just use this as a resource to answer your questions here locally, or if you're thinking about moving here. We're not we're not going to lock you down and try and convince you to do something you're not ready to do. We just want to help and love to connect with you guys, so don't hesitate to reach out. Yeah,
and today's video is something I think we're both very passionate about, first-time home buyers, and know that today's video is a lot of strategy, it's a lot of mindset, there's a lot of passion in here, but then when it comes to details outside of what we talk about here, where to buy, what to do, the areas, we have plenty of other videos on that stuff. And know that we're not just here to tour luxury homes. We don't just sell luxury homes. We love selling starter homes to first-time home buyers as well. So subscribe to the channel to keep an eye on all of those other things today. But today we'll first start off with jumping into just first-time home buyers myths and everything you need to know for first-time home buyers. So let's jump into it. First, we're going to start off with just a message to all first-time home buyers about mindset and really misconceptions as well. Then go into some just myths and misconceptions when it comes to numbers, down payments, things like that. And then of course, later on, we'll go into what we talked about in the introduction as far as how to prepare for buying your first house. But the first message is, I think all over the news today, you can't buy a house, housing's unaffordable. You hear it everywhere. Everybody tells you you can't afford a home. Yeah,
the American dream's done. Millennials or whatever generation prior or after them, will never own a home. You'll rent your whole life. Blah blah blah. All the negative news, and there's some validity to that, but it's not completely realistic by any means.
No, not at all. I mean, I'd say yes. Has buying a home gotten harder?
Yes.
Yes, but I think what the general consensus culturally is it's impossible.
And also, to have a caveat there, harder here locally in Idaho, because, and I've said this many times, not always on our YouTube channel, we were blessed a while back to have one of the most affordable and the easiest places to buy homes, but that was before obviously a lot of the growth happened and people realized, wow, this is an amazing place to live. So we've unfortunately had really good times and now much more difficult times. But if you look across most of the US, where there's growing cities, growing states, and popular metropolitan areas, it has been this difficult for a very long time. I mean, all of California, it's very hard to buy there, and it has been for, I don't know, probably 2 decades.
And on that point, later in the video, I'm sure we'll talk about where Boise is heading. And how in California now, I would say they're closer to impossible, with $1 million homes being the starting point. At least in Boise for now, we're 400, 500,000. There's still $300,000 homes here. But with all of that said, the first thing that needs to happen, in my belief, is that you have to understand that you can afford to buy your first home, and there is a path forward to do that, which we're gonna help with that path forward to do that. But the first thing is accepting that it is possible. Because without that, you make different decisions. I've seen it time and time again where somebody says, oh, I can't afford a house. So instead of sacrificing, saving money, and doing the things that are the steps you need to take to buy a first house, they go on vacation, they go out to eat because they just accept, oh, I can't afford a house.
Buy that brand new car,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, it's crazy. Some of these cars people are driving that say they can't afford a home are a third of your mortgage payment.
Yeah, it's unreal. And so you first have to start with being like, I want to buy a house. Not everyone wants to buy a house.
Sure.
I can afford a house. And then that is where your mindset starts so that you start making the correct decisions moving forward. And we've seen it. We work with first-time homebuyers all of the time. I was just telling Jesse before we started filming that I just started working with a first-time homebuyer who in 2019 wanted to buy a house and decided to wait, and then got priced out of the market. And now he's back and he's like, I don't want this to happen again. I'm ready to buy a house. I'm willing to sacrifice, which is the other part of mindset that I want to talk about before we go into these misconceptions and the steps. But that is that people feel like their first house has to be a brand new, nice, big, fancy house.
Yep.
And that doesn't. This first-time homebuyer that I'm talking about, he's buying a $200,000 home that's probably going to be 50 years old and 1,000 square feet. And what he realized that I didn't even have to tell him that was very smart is he realizes that buying your first house is your foot in the door. It's getting equity building, it's getting that equity growing over time, and it's paying that house down slowly, and then in 5 years, using the equity in that home to then upgrade to the nicer, newer, fancier house. And so some of us, and I'll just speak clearly, but need to, I guess, tone down our requirements or our goals and humble ourselves a little bit and know that being in a beat up house that your friends might not look at you as fancy, it's okay. Like,
keeping up with the Joneses because of social media has become way too extravagant, and in particular with buying a first home, that shouldn't be what you're looking for. Obviously, if you can and up to your budget, get everything you could possibly find and want, and obviously we can help with that. But set your expectations in reality. You're not on Instagram seeing everyone's first-time home purchase be this extravagant, beautifully staged, brand new home. So if that isn't the case for your budget, then don't expect that, and don't let that limit you from actually buying a home.
Yes, agree 100%. Yes, and in this video, obviously, you guys can speak with whatever agents you want, but I can say me and Jesse truly care about people, and first-time homebuyers in particular, we're very passionate about, and we want what's best for you. If you guys can't afford a house, whatever it may be, we're here to just advise you on what the best decision is for you, your goals, and everything that you want in life. And so throughout the rest of this video, we'll now go into some of the steps, misconceptions, and things to help guide you in buying your first home. And this next section first, going over just some misconceptions people think they have in their head, but that is not the case. Okay, now misconceptions and myths. First big one is, I think, down payment.
Yeah, I know, and it's funny. That is still a very common misconception, and I wish some of this stuff was taught like in high school, but in any case, down payments do not have to be 20%.
Nope.
I mean, in Idaho, maybe we'll save it for a second and a little bit later, but in Idaho, you can get into a home with darn near close to $0.
Yes, $500.
Yes.
With
so I guess we'll just say, so Idaho Housing is an Idaho specific bond program and product for first-time home buyers within a certain qualification range. And they changed it this year. You can buy a home with a $500 down payment. Obviously, there's some differences with that. Your payment's gonna be a little bit higher. We won't go into all the details, but you'd have two separate mortgages and loans on the home. But you can buy a home if you're able to afford the monthly payment and qualify for $500.
Yes, which is much different than the 20% that I think most people assume. And with that, I'd say more than half of the homes that at least I sell are less than 20% down payments. It's 5%, 10%.
Yeah.
It's fairly rare that it's above 20%.
Yeah, I was just trying to think. The only time, like personally, I've bought in a property that was over 20% was because it was a requirement and it was an investment property. Our personal home was not 20% down. Our cabin was not 20% down. Our other small cabin Airbnb was not 20% down. I mean, and this is, you know, coming from real estate professionals who do this on a daily basis. Even if you have the 20%, sometimes it makes sense to not do that much. But for first-time homebuyers specifically, you're typically not having that much cash savings. So here in Idaho, again, $500 and up, where there is some advantages between, let's say, 0 and 10% or 20%.
Yeah, and those differences, they'll depend on the loan type, they'll depend on your situation, but in general, FHA loans, which is not technically first-time homebuyer loans.
Anyone.
And then there's conventional loans. There's going to have what's called PMI, so your primary mortgage insurance, and that's insurance not for you, but for the bank. In case you default on that loan, they have some insurance in there that they'll get the equity back on that house. And that PMI can be like $300 a month if you're putting a very low down payment. And then there's steps where it goes down significantly. So the difference between 3% down and 10% down, that might go from $300 a month to like $70 a month. And then if you get to 15% down, it might go down all the way to like $30 a month. And so that's where down payment can make a difference, right? I would say down payment doesn't make a huge difference unless you're doing a large jump on your monthly payment, at least right now.
Yeah, exactly. So very typically for first-time home buyers, we're seeing kind of that ideal range anywhere from 3 to 5%. But of course, there's plenty of people we've helped that are, again, utilizing Idaho Housing at less than 3%. But going from 3 to 5, there isn't a drastic, well, there isn't a big change at all in your monthly payment. So in my opinion, if it doesn't change your PMI that much, if it doesn't change your mortgage, your mortgage payment that much, save that 2% in cash, because one, it's a lot harder to pull money out of your house. It's very easy to pay down your principal if, let's say, you do a lower down payment and then in 3 months you get a big bonus and you're like, well, I'm going to dump that into my principal. You can do that, but you can't necessarily take it back out. So I'm a big proponent of the lowest down payment possible that still works for your monthly budget. Yeah, and when we get to the steps going forward in the buying the home process, we'll talk a little bit more about ways to get creative, strategies that we use with new construction or resale to get that monthly payment down. But the next myth would be credit score. So there's a little bit of a myth that you need perfect credit score. There's some truth to it. You can't have a 500 credit score and qualify for 99% of loans unless you really want to pay for it. And this is where you kind of dive into the strategy, which we'll save for a little bit. But I've actually had clients who had no credit score. And you do have to get something. I mean, you have to have some sort of credit score. So there's ways to go from 0 to qualifying range, or obviously going from a low credit score, rebuilding it and improving your credit score over time. Maybe it's a couple months, maybe it's an entire year to get into that credit score range, which again is lower than I think what most people think. Or if you guys are the Dave Ramsey approach people and you don't have any debt, I have had clients that have literally 0 credit score. They've never had debt. They follow the Dave Ramsey approach, for those of you who might know about the Ramsey approach. And then what they do is they essentially take your history over the last few years of your rent, your utilities. It takes a little bit longer. They have to manually check whether you qualify, but you still can qualify for a home there. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you can do that, but I have done that on loans as well. But yes, credit score. Also, the other thing is the higher credit score you have, it does affect your interest rate and your loan requirements. So, but part of that is getting your credit score up is not as difficult as people would think. I just had a client, we were working with Brady Gormley, who is the lender that we usually work with on pretty much every deal. He got our client's credit score to go up 100 points in like 2 weeks. By just making I need to call him. No, it's like that's awesome. By just making a few tweaks, and it dropped his monthly payment significantly because of that, because it got him into a different interest rate bracket. And so, working with Brady Gormley, part of what we'll talk about in the steps and processes is reaching out to us early, but we'll talk about that when we get to the steps and processes. Yeah, and it's tough sometimes to make these videos as entertaining, so hopefully you guys are sticking with us, because a lot of the stuff we're talking through in strategies is number-based, which isn't the most fun to talk about, but is extremely important. So that's where, like Brady Gormley, or your client with Brady Gormley specific scenario, raising that credit score 100 points, it was probably shifting different money around, paying debt here, putting debt here. And overall, it's again a numbers strategy, but those are things that we can help work through. We don't expect any of you guys to know those things. Obviously, you're not experienced and professionals in it. So that's where coming to us or to a qualified lender that knows what they're doing, especially in credit repair, can help with those strategies. But we'll do our best to give you general numbers and keep the information flowing.
100%, yeah. And before we go into the last myth, to make it a little more entertaining, maybe we can have the editors throw a wig on Jesse, make him look like a girl while he talks or something. Yeah, or put a clown nose on us.
My kids lately have asked me to pretend your mom or talk like a girl. Man, it sounds so. They just laugh at me. It's like it's not even close. I don't know how people do it.
Yeah,
but
we'll remind Grant to put a wig on you when we edit this video, so it's a little more entertaining.
Oh man!
But the last myth is kind of one of two things. It's that it has to do with a real estate agent. So commissions, using a real estate agent, especially for new construction, and then just kind of preparing for things, which will lead us right into kind of the steps and processes. But
I think that's a big one, and honestly, I don't think people talk about it a lot, especially with the recent, well, maybe not recent, but earlier this year, the misconceptions with buyer's agent commissions, things like that. So one, and we're going to talk about here specifically how we do things. Of course, this is not maybe the scenario nationwide, but buyer's agents we do not charge hourly.
No.
If or when we get paid is when we are working and representing a client and they close on a home. So you reach out to us today and don't buy for 1 year, we're not sending you an invoice. Sometimes I wish we charged hourly, but that's not how it works. There is no commitment. Again, if you reached out today, we're not going to have you sign a paperwork saying you are locked in with us for the next 3 years, no matter if you buy something here or some other area. We're truly here to provide value, information, help you get to those goals if home buying or home selling or upgrading, downgrading is one of those goals. And through that process, if we're able to help accommodate and facilitate that, that is when we would earn the income that we use to provide for our families and ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that kind of leads into the commission part of it, like where agents, not just me and Jesse, but any agent that you use, where they get paid, how that all works. The biggest myth I think is with new construction. We see this all of the time, but people feel like if they go to purchase a home with a new construction or a builder, that they can't have an agent represent them. And this will kind of cover both myths here, but yes, you can. They're very welcoming. I mean, here we're standing in a KB home and we're very close with the reps here. They work with us all the time. Most of the builders in the Valley, me and Jesse personally have really good relationships with because we've worked with them enough. But they are openly offering to pay our commission. So we have yet to have a builder not pay our commission.
Correct.
So it's not coming from you as the buyer. And I'd say in 99% of the cases I have yet to see it. With a resale home, the same is true, where the seller is paying the commission to the buyer's agent. So it's not coming out of your pocket. One thing with that too is sometimes people think, well, if they go to the builder and they say, hey, I don't have an agent, can you cut me a deal? They don't cut you a deal anyway. They don't give you a discount for not having an agent. And so it's essentially free, being paid for by the seller to use us.
And sometimes they might try to say it depends on the builder and the sales rep, but sometimes they might say, if you don't have an agent, we'll give you $1,000 or even $5,000. But realistically, and maybe we have it in another video specifically for how to buy homes here in Boise, there's other things that they're probably not sharing with you or that they're hiding. And in the end, what you're doing is you're just making the builder more money and not having someone advocate for you. So whether it's us or not, and I've actually told clients this recently and they're like, hey, we're not sure who to go with. And I said, if you don't pick us, that's perfectly fine. Again, we're not for everyone as much as we'd like to be. do not go unrepresented and go build a home with a builder. Even the builders we trust the most, just go and have your own person in your corner. Like, huge recommendation. I mean, it should almost be a requirement. It's surprising that it's not, just for the potential legalities of it. But in any case, a lot of first-time home buyers don't realize that one, we're not going to charge you when you guys reach out, and two, you can use us for resale, for sure, for new construction. And again, we've never had a scenario, never say never, but we've never had a scenario where a builder or seller didn't provide the buyer's agent commission as part of the sale.
Yeah, and 2 points on that before we go into now just the steps of buying a home. But when we say that we won't charge you, we truly mean it. And if you guys ever did find the 0.0% house that wasn't paying us as agents, I always tell clients, go buy that house. I'm okay with all of the work we've done before. I want you to be in the home that is right for you. And then 2, we really want you guys to work with who you guys feel is providing the most value, who you have the best fit, because there is personality fits within agents as well. And so that's where me and Jesse, I think, are some of fewer agents that don't have cancellation fees in the contracts that we have, because we don't feel like you guys should be forced to work with us. Speaking to just, you should have representation no matter what house you buy, and it should be the best fit agent for you. And so those are just the last 2 steps on that misconception. But now we can go into the actual steps of buying a home.
Some creative strategies.
Yeah, strategies for sure. Let's go into it. Okay, now to the process of buying your first home in Idaho. And as we'll go step by step so you understand how the entire process works. And then we're also going to talk about something that I think is really important in the middle of all of that. But first step is reaching out to, I think, an agent. First step's what we talked about at the very beginning, which is decide that you can buy a house and you want to buy a house.
The other piece to that too is that you plan, if and when you do buy a house, you plan to be in that house. I talk about this especially with a lot of my engineering and Micron clients. If you think you're going to move in a year, you probably maybe buying isn't the right fit for you. Even up to maybe 2 nowadays, even up to maybe 2 or 3 years. Like, if you're buying a home, this should be a long-term plan. Obviously circumstances change, but if you're truly like, I kind of like it here, but I think I might move back home or move to a different state in a year, you're going to lose money. That's just easy as that.
3 to 5 years, that should be your time frame. Then meet with lender or agent. I would say in general, agents tend to be more helpful in that step as far as planning goes, and then usually the agent will get you connected with a lender. And that will get your plan in place, which is then the plan is credit score, down payment, getting pre-approved, right? Those would be the next 3 steps after that, because when you meet in this first step, things can change, as we talked about in this video, where your timeline might be, okay, based on the basic knowledge we have, you should be able to afford a home right now. Or it may be, hey, we need to get a plan in place to get your credit score up, to pay off this debt, to save up this amount to buy your next house.
And I think it's very important to hit on a word you didn't use, and we actually have it in our very rough outline script, the right lender and agent. So many times have we heard clients come to us a year after, they're like, well, we met with our bank, we ran numbers, and they said we don't qualify, so we stopped. Sure, that is that is an outcome for some people. Obviously, what our goal is to figure out solutions to that problem. But if you don't meet with the right person, it could completely derail what you're hoping to find, because not everyone is going to dive deeper, really try and figure out why, and then also help to figure out what you can do to get a yes when you meet with that mortgage person. So the right lender and the right agent is key.
Very important. And on that point, finding the right lender, but also where somebody hit and they couldn't afford it, on the affordability piece, next year in 2026, we have plans to do a first-time homebuyer down payment giveaway. So we're going to give away a down payment to a first-time homebuyer that somebody sends in or feels that they deserve a down payment, and me and Jesse are going to give away a down payment on a house. And we're mentioning this now in this first time homebuyer video because subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on that, especially for those of you who are first time homebuyers or those of you who know a first time homebuyer that you think would deserve that or should have that as a down payment. So keep an eye out for that. Our plan is to do it early 2026 in the first couple of months. We just need to work out the details on how we're gonna do it.
Win the Idaho raffle as well, that would be nice. No.
Yeah. Yes. So just to keep that in mind and keep an eye on the channel and continue to watch videos. But with that said, now next step after that, you meet the right lender, you meet the right agent, you get a plan in place, you get your credit score in check, you get a down payment given by us or just saved up, and now you are ready to buy a house. Then obviously the obvious next step is to go start looking at houses with an agent. But this is where we start getting into looking at houses and picking the right house for you, which adds a whole bunch of different strategies and ways to look at buying a house that I think are very important.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into all of those steps, but those are the high level pieces. But yeah, once you're at, you have a pre-approved number and you have a budget in mind, then it's going through the plethora of home opportunities here in the different areas, the different home styles, existing, new, and that's where obviously the agent piece really comes into play and where we can start to strategize, figure out and go see homes in person, which is also probably the most exciting part.
Yes, it is very exciting. And some of those strategies, so there's the obvious, you find a home, you like it, you buy it. And then there's less obvious strategies that kind of go into the first part of this, which is getting roommates, partnering with people, things like that to help you afford a home. So if you're in a place where maybe the home you want, or you want to step it up, or you have the ability to have a brother, a sister, friends rent out rooms in your house, there are strategies that especially single family or first time home buyers can use. Where you still have roommates, but you're paying way less than especially you would be renting, but obviously paying less than if you just had a mortgage yourself. So there's a strategy around that is a whole rabbit hole that we're not going to go down too deep, but there are strategies around that for first-time home buyers that can work very, very well. The other side of this too is just buying a home and using incentives. So we haven't talked about incentives in this video yet, but it's a very, very important piece for first-time home buyers. And what incentives are it's essentially money that is offered by the seller, whether that's a builder or a seller, and it is given to you during the buying process that you can then use to either buy down your interest rate, cover closing costs, or in some cases you can use it to upgrade your home, you can use it for blinds, you can use it for landscaping.
Yeah, exactly. So depending on the scenario, and again with builders or sellers, we're seeing almost every single home sale, unless it's just drastically underpriced, have the opportunity for buyers to take advantage of incentives or concessions. And like, to use a specific example, a brand new CBH home, let's say, up to $30,000. With that, you can do almost everything Brady just mentioned. You could probably finish your landscaping and fencing, so you don't have to do that on your own or after the fact. You can cover all of your closing costs, which would be, let's just say, anywhere from $7,000 to $11,000 saved. So that's cash that's staying in your bank account or savings account, or can be added to your down payment to bring your PMI down, your monthly payment down. And then also buying down your rate, 0.5%, full percent, 1/4%, whatever the case is, which really has a big impact on your monthly payment. And that's where we're seeing a lot of people jump into a price range that they wouldn't have thought or originally been pre-approved for with a lender that might not be the right lender. By being able to use those incentives to buy down a rate, now you might be able to buy the home that was exactly what you wanted, but maybe originally not in your price range.
And two things here. So the first thing is what Jesse's talking about with the interest rate. That makes the biggest impact, and to show an example of how much of an impact, I'll just use rough numbers here. They're not going to be exact, but let's say you buy a house for $10,000 less than the purchase price, your monthly payment might go down $20 a month. If you use that $10,000 to buy down your interest rate, usually $10,000 will get you about 0.5% lower. That's probably going to drop your monthly payment by $100, even $150 a month. So it makes a huge difference on a monthly basis. The second thing is, you said CBH is offering $30,000 right now. It's $50,000 right now in the months we're in. Yeah. And Hayden Homes also has some incentives that are $50,000, which is,
I bet it's crazy.
We haven't seen that much incentive. And part of it is right now, November, December, they're trying to get homes sold for the last quarter of the year. And so they're trying to off-sell houses before 2026 starts. And so as you're watching this video right now is a very, very good time to get into some of these homes, because you can buy down your interest rate. You can get into the 4% range. I've seen a couple clients get into under 5% interest rate, which drops your payment $200, $300, sometimes $400 a month. It makes a huge difference. And you can use what's left over to cover your closing costs, buy yourself blinds, buy yourself your appliances, buy yourself your landscaping, so you have a fully equipped house with that $50,000. So very good time right now for first-time home buyers, and a big piece of the strategy. And even just making it so that you can afford a house.
And that was obviously new construction specific, but in terms of buying ability for first-time home buyers, there is more inventory now, which means there's more options and more negotiating room. There's some amazing deals for those that are okay with not having the prettiest, nicest first-time home. We're working with a client right now, and their appraisal was $35,000 higher than what we're buying the home at. He's literally moving in with $35,000 of equity, and his down payment is less than that. So like he's literally doubling or tripling his initial investment the day he gets the keys. And yes, this home needs a little bit of work. He's probably going to paint, he might change out some carpet, but if you're okay with those things, or okay to do those over time, there is some amazing opportunities right now.
Yes. And before we go into what happens once you get in contract on a home, I want to touch on one thing, and that is that there are videos going around on YouTube that is saying that renting right now is more affordable than buying a home. Boise, Idaho is a little bit different, and we'll talk about just some rough numbers there. But B, ask yourself if you're somebody that is very responsible and you will invest money every single month. A piece of that I think is often missing is that when you purchase a home, it is a forced savings account. And so part of your mortgage payment every month is going into the equity of your home, whether you like it or not. And so it eliminates the temptation of spending that money on going out to eat or traveling or whatever it may be. And so, yes, there are some scenarios right now where renting can be cheaper over a 5-year span, but in general, buying a home for building wealth or building a foundation for your life is still the better option. And then part 2 of that is renting in Boise versus buying. A lot of first-time home buyers right now, they're paying the same amount in rent.
It's pretty darn close.
I mean, you might be paying $100 or $200 more a month when you buy a house here.
And that's the thing where, yes, rent on a month-to-month basis might be might be cheaper, I guess you could say, than a mortgage. In some cases, or a lot of cases, it's very, very close here in Boise. But what we're talking about is long-term, over even a 5 or a 10 or for sure a 20-year plan. And honestly, I would have a lot of arguments against it being cheaper and even less than a 5-year. Like it's more like a 3-year to me.
In Boise particularly.
Yes, very much so.
Because we have the appreciation side of things.
There's a lot of factors in it, and in any case, yes, they might be a little bit less on a month-to-month basis, but hopefully we're all looking a little bit more long-term and plan to live, more than 5 years from now. So try to maybe zoom out a little bit and think about, okay, what can I do today to help set myself up in the future? And rent, there really isn't a long-term benefit there, unless of course you are very, very disciplined to invest somewhere that difference that you'd be paying rent versus your mortgage.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and if you are that type of person, then feel free to rent. Like at the end of the day, we truly want what's best for your decision and your life. And so if that is the case, like we will sit you down and be like, yes, buying a home may not make sense for you. If you are disciplined and you're like, no, I invest this much every month and it has a higher return, it's like, okay, great.
And I know we're going to get a couple YouTube comments of real estate agents trying to sell you or convince you to buy a home. The last thing we want is you to go buy a home and call us a year later and say, you guys suck. Why did you tell me to do this? So that is not what we're here for. If you think that's what we do, then go follow another channel.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, so that's some basic strategies.
Yep.
Then once you find the house, you use the strategy that is best for you. You're now in contract on a house. So you write up an offer, whether you're building, whether you're buying new construction, whether it's resale. There's little differences with that, but you write up an offer, it gets accepted. You're now in contract on the home.
Yep.
Next step would be earnest money is usually the next step. Sometimes that's due the day of with some builders. Usually you have about 3 to 5 days to get that paid. And earnest money is usually around 1%. Sometimes when you build a home, it's 2, 3, or 4% of the purchase price of the home. And that's not extra cost that goes into your down payment or into your closing costs. It's just a good faith deposit for the seller of the home.
Yep.
Next step would be the inspection period.
Yeah, I mean, probably the most important piece, and this is for existing homes and for new construction. To be honest, if anything, it's more important for new construction, even though people don't think it would be. So yeah, having a home inspection done, I mean, we would not let any client go without, but yeah, having the home checked inside and out, everything the inspector can visually see, check, and test, just to make sure the home is in good shape, the builder or the seller took good care of it, and you have a good understanding of what essentially you're buying, and the quality and condition is there to support the price.
Yep. Yeah, and then after the inspection, there will be a lot of lender questions. You'll be needing to get your final documents in. You'll need to get your home insurance in place. And then from inspection to the appraisal, there's basically nothing. But once you get to the appraisal, if you have a loan, most lenders will require an appraisal on the house to make sure it is at value. And it's going back to what Jesse said, is had a recent client that the appraisal was $35,000 more, meaning the bank or the appraiser valued that home $35,000 more than they purchased it for. Once you get past that step, then we go to the closing section, which is pretty simple.
Yeah, exactly. Lender and title and escrow company, the third party company that handles all the funds and make sure the contract is followed as it's detailed out. Run numbers, and they come together and say, okay, this is the final amount that is due to purchase this home. Your down payment, closing costs, some prorations in terms of utilities, taxes, HOA if there is an HOA, all that stuff. And then from there, you have your number in mind, which again, you have a really good idea of what that number is way before we get to this point. But this is the exact number. You prepare that. We go and get all the paperwork, the stack of paperwork signed, and essentially, a few hours after that, you get the keys to your home.
Yep. Then you're officially a first-time home buyer.
Yep.
Yeah. And with that, if you guys are first-time home buyers and you are thinking about buying houses, we are filming a very good first-time home buyer community right now. I've seen a lot of first-time home buyers buy in this community. We tour the entire community, and we still talk about some first-time home buyer stuff in there. So if you want to check out that video, thank you guys for watching.